William, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Luke.
Of course, man, of course. I can't wait to dive on into this one. But before I get ahead of myself, would you mind just introducing yourself to the audience? Tell us a little bit more about who you are and what it is that you do.
Sure. Firstly, I have a bit of a strange accent because I come from Cape Town in South Africa. My name is William Cronier. And my background is also a bit strange, but I think to some extent, maybe back in school, we were very similar learners. I remember from your book that, you mentioned that you were like also that type of learner is like easily distracted and not really interested in the like what the teacher was talking about and whatever. And I think to some extent that maybe makes us very critical of how like how learning is facilitated or how, it's put together. So I think to some extent, maybe we share that in terms of thinking quite critically about it. So when I left school, thankfully, I graduated with pretty decent grades and everything. Then I went and I did a Bachelor of Arts. And then I did like multimedia studies and marketing, and for a really long time I thought I was just going to work at an ad agency, and then I realized that I didn't really like marketing that much, and I stumbled into instructional design, as a lot of people do, and I just got absolutely hooked with it. And now I work at a really amazing place called Eduflow, and I head up Eduflow Academy. And Eduflow Academy's big goal is to change the way people think about learning online. We want to convince people that it's not just about quizzes and videos. It can be way more active, and it can be way more interactive and especially social. So we really try to, in our learning experiences on Eduflow Academy, connect people and create that sense of community as people learn. So that's I guess a quick introduction of me.
And you do a great job talking about everything, by the way, too, which I have a lot of questions about for you later on with Eduflow Academy, because that has been so transformative and so insane to see what that has become over the last year? 2 years?
Yeah.
No, it's been a year, right?
I think it's like a year and a half.
Year and a half, okay.
Yeah, I joined in October last year in 2021, and it's now...
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, oh, wow. Okay.
July 2021, and now it's 2022. It's been a wild ride.
Time doesn't make sense to me at all anymore.
Yeah.
I was just like, I feel like I've known you for 5 years when you're like, no, it's been like a year. It's like, oh.
It's because we've been through so much together,
Pretty much, man. Pretty much. So where I'd love, William, for you to be able to start with things is because of how I was thinking more about how in the day and the life kind of questions, because I'd love to know more about like your day and the life of working over with Eduflow. But I know for people out there, I don't hear as much about the day in the life of people working for an organization that's more focused on like a learning platform or learning experiences. Usually it's something more like kind of cut and dry. So it's kind of interesting that I don't hear so much about that. So can you just like elaborate more on like the day in the life of what it is that you do?
Yeah, people often ask me like, questions about, my career and like, how can I do what you do or stuff like that. And I always tell them that like, I'm a very unconventional instructional designer. Not a lot of people will probably do the day in the life of type of stuff that I do. So I definitely don't think people should like take this perspective as like, this is what instructional design is. And I think I'm very fortunate to be able to wear a lot of different hats in my day in the life. And it really depends on, what the focus on is at the moment. So when I do kind of traditional instructional design stuff, it's, I put on my design and development hat. And I do research and interview people and edit videos and stuff like that. So so that's quite cool, like fun. And then sometimes I change that hat out to become a facilitator, where we run our instructional design principles or social learning experiences course, and then it's all about supporting the course participants and facilitating workshops and stuff like that. Then another hat I wear is where sometimes on the Eduflow side, we work with Eduflow users to help them to use Eduflow as well as they possibly can. So that's another hat that I wear. And then another one is iterating. So on the Eduflow Academy side again, as I'm facilitating, we're also updating the course material. Finding out where people are getting stuck, or where a lot of the feedback is coming back as I'm stuck here. Then we have a very, very big privilege of being able to iterate before the next cohort. So those are some of the hats I wear, and other hats are also like marketing-ish related hats. So it'll be one thing I did recently was we conducted research about collaborative learning in the workplace. So then we collected and synthesized all of that information and wrote a really nice big blog post about that. And then there's other blog posts about instructional design or learning that we also work together on to put together. So yeah, that is the very strange day in the life of William.
I mean, it's funny because also our roles are really similar in nature too. I feel like there is almost this essence of the startup mentality that you're going to do everything. You have a bit of something where some days, as you were saying, it's research, it's marketing, you're doing promotion materials, you're running the workshops and the webinars and whatever else. You also forgot to mention too, but you have to deal with me like on a daily basis pinging you about things. It's like, William, how do I do this?
That's more fun. That's not a job. That's just like catching up with Luke. So
yeah, fair enough.
It's a good point though. So the other one is, we've got a bunch of courses on Eduflow Academy. So another thing that I tend to do is, check in with you and check in with people like Heidi and, see how everything's going and see where I can help. And so that's also really fun.